Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Indemnity. And this is a new South African action film from Travis Taute, who wrote and directed this film, and focusing on Theo, who is an ex-Cape Town fireman suffering from severe PTSD, and when he wakes up next to his murdered wife, there is a giant conspiracy trying to bring him down as he tries to find evidence to prove his innocence while being chased by the police, being chased by these dark, shadowy figures who are related to the bigger conspiracy at hand that his wife had discovered and gotten involved in. And you have Jarrid Geduld, who plays Theo here, who gives a committed, emotional, raw, and just impactful performance at the center of this action film. And you don't get to see a whole lot of performances like this in an action film. There's certain scenes where he has to act very, like, this is like an open nerve. There's just this intense, emotional, exposed here. Emotional person exposed, a live wire. And you have this strong setup of him and his wife having their issues because of his PTSD, but there's still so much love there and connection. And Nicole, Fortuin, who's Angela, his wife, there's great connection there. You could feel it. There's one horribly tragic moment later in the film where they reveal something, and just the scene is just so tragic to see because of the connection these characters have with each other. It's dealing with PTSD, it's dealing with government corruption, it's dealing with some bigger perspectives on what would you do for the greater good, and how many smaller people would you sacrifice to make sure that the greater good is achieved. And how do you see that as somebody being a pawn in this game? And this film has the main issues that I saw in this film were definitely a pacing thing. This is a little over 2 hours, and definitely in the second act, it starts to lose some of its steam. It kicks back into gear when it starts revealing some things and it starts flowing again, and bam, you come with this big climax of like invading this big kind of tech company, and you know, it's like the invading of the castle, storm the castle at the end. Big action set pieces. There's also a lot of exposition. There's certain characters that are just there to just dump exposition at certain points in time, and you're just like, it's so convoluted and complicated what's going on in this story that you kind of have to have those moments where it's like, let me spell this all out for you, and that kind of takes you out of the film. But you not only have this main character, Theo, but you also have this thread with the detectives, including Gail, Mabalane, who plays Detective Renee Williamson, who's another great character that we get to follow along with complexity and how she relates to Theo in this film. And there's some great action, there's great thrills along the way. It's really well shot, intense, visceral action. Less cuts and edits than a Bourne film, but like it has that same kind of like raw grittiness and visceralness to it. There's definitely emotion. It takes you to some unexpected and tragic places with how this is all really coming together. The reveals and motivations of things are pretty shocking and disturbing, and how that affects Theo is very emotional. But this is a pretty special action flick, and I was very surprised because I had not really heard of this film. And then bam, this South African action flick from Travis Taute just shows up, grabs you, and you're there the whole ride. And you're feeling emotion, you're connecting to characters, and you're experiencing all this great action along the way, and some convoluted but intriguing stories with some deep-seated themes. And that's a lot for an action film, for the most part. Obviously, there's great ones, and I'm a action-filled snob, and I give this one my stamp of approval. But those are my thoughts on Indemnity. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.